What's happening, guys and girls? Acrinator here, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Counting Pixelated Sheep podcast. I am joined by my partner in crime and co-host, Sir John Mack.
Hey!
And today we have 3 new articles for you, the order of which will be as follows. Pokemon Go closed beta hits the US, as well as some additional information about how the game will run. Gamers creating characters of their exes is supposedly a coping mechanism for breakups, and the Division's patch 1.2 caused some player characters to be deleted. So with that being said, let's get straight into the first article, which is the Pokemon Go beta. Now, this appears to be a very closed beta. It doesn't say any way, at least the article doesn't say any way, to gain access to the beta. I think they're just like, I don't know, maybe going out to like Pokemon YouTubers. I don't know if there are any like large YouTubers who like play. Oh, I know there's that one guy who does like I think the Pokedex or something is his name. I don't know. Anyways, this one, yeah. So there's going to be over 100 of the original generation Pokemon. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
The 1-year-old is not having fun with fevers and stuff. Anyways, what was I saying? Right, there are going to be 100 of the original generation Pokemon to be available to players from the start. You can customize your avatar, and I'll have like a picture of like the customization and whatnot up there as always as we're talking about it. And they also explained one interesting thing is how gyms are going to work. So apparently gyms and like battles and whatnot are going to be assigned to specific locations that are going to be like notable. So like a park or a museum or, you know, an art display, like a public art display or whatever, and stuff like that. And the gym is going to be actually held, I don't know if it's going to be held at first, like, I'll just get into what they said. So the gyms are going to be held by players, actually, teams of players. Supposedly there are going to be 3 teams, 3 factions, maybe, from the way they made it sound. So you can be a part of one of 3 teams, and the gym switches, you know, claimants, if that's how you pronounce that word, when the prestige reaches 0, so I assume after the gym is defeated a certain amount of times. And they said, like, the players don't necessarily have to be there online or live or whatever for their Pokemon to do battle. It'll just do automatically. I don't know if you can like set your Pokemon to do specific battle tactics or whatnot, or if it's just going to be like a computer, so it'd be technically harder if you'd fight the person face to face compared to like just fighting their PC NPCs. You know what I mean. Shut up, it's late. It's only 9. So yeah, there's a decent amount of information there. It's a lot of interesting things and a few more questions. I know we did a thing about like the announcement of Pokemon Go a few months back, and that was one of the very few articles that we ever did that's like, you know, the hot topic of the time, although I think there was something else at the time that was like big, and this is relatively low-key from what I can understand, because, you know, not a lot of people are getting access to the beta yet. It's still no official release date. Still says later in 2016. My guess is probably going to be closer to Christmas time, because I think that would be a good launch time. The game is going to be free. They've confirmed that. They said there's going to be different microtransactions. This is something along the lines of like power tokens or something along that line. There was like a video in the article as well that you can, there'll be a link into the description below. I don't know what the power coin means, like if that's like an in-game currency, or perhaps you could level up your Pokemon faster. If the leveling is anything like it isn't in the game, it's not going to be very hard to cap out Pokemon. So, I don't know, do you have anything to add, John?
I'm kind of interested how how the prestige is going to be balanced. I mean, like, can you imagine if there wasn't like any kind of cap, and like one gym just kept beating players over and over again to the point where it was like completely unbeatable?
I didn't actually think about that. You know, the way I thought of it was when a team claims a gym, they get a set amount of prestige and they can't gain any more, but they lose some as more and more players defeat that gym. And actually that brings up another question. If there's 3 teams is it just the team that like gets the last match, or is it like the team that contributed to the most to taking down the other team, the gym team's prestige that gets to claim the gym?
Hmm.
That's interesting to think of because I'd at least hope that it would be participation. A lot of larger MMOs nowadays will do that. I know Ion has that with its aggro system, so it's not like WoW where it's just like whoever tags an enemy first gets it. It's whoever contributes the most to the fight. But there's like complex algorithms to decide who contributed, whereas this would be a little bit easier, I guess. Or it'd be like who won the most battles, etc., etc., etc. And if that's the case, I can imagine that the gym would probably stay under the control of one team longer, because towards the beginning I'd imagine the two non-gym teams would be duking it out, and then as one team pulls ahead, the other team will back off because they're like, well, we're not going to get it anyway, so let's just, they can take their time. Unless there's some sort of reward for individual matches won against the gyms, perhaps on a team-based level or maybe a player-based level. I don't know. Another thing is interesting, when it launches, is it going to be held by NPCs? And if that's the case, will the NPCs be able to like come as a neutral faction and like take it over again?
Hmm.
I know
that would be kind of.
Oh, go ahead.
That would be kind of cool. Just like if in like some really, I guess, rural area.
Yeah.
Like if no one does anything in a certain location for long enough, if it just gets taken back over.
Yeah, that would be very interesting actually, because I can imagine we're not really anywhere near any large cities. A few like a couple 100,000 or whatnot, large cities, but like nothing on the scale of like New York City or something. So I can certainly imagine not a lot of people are going to play Pokemon Go. So if that's the fact of the matter, it might actually be fun to just like be in this constant tug of war of like the 5 people on each of the 3 teams and the NPCs. That might actually be fun because one team might just go complete AFK for like a month.
Yeah.
And blue team or whatever gets to duke it out with the NPCs.
I'm also really interested on how they'll be deciding what spots to have gyms, because
Yeah.
it seems like it would have to be a player-based thing. Because like if you just have it like in places Nintendo sets up, then there's no way they can possibly have it.
I almost feel like they almost can't. Like obviously for the big cities like New York and whatnot, they can look at like the really influential monuments and stuff like that and say, okay, there's a gym, in Grand Central Park or whatever, Central Park, whatever. But for like the cities like that are near us, for example, where like I can't imagine they're gonna go through every individual town and city in just the US, not even counting the rest of the world, and say like, here's a gym, 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 here's a gym.
I'm trying to think of the name of that other ARG that I played a bit of. Basically, it had like portals in certain locations, and you had to capture them. And
I think I know what you're talking about, but I never really paid attention to that. I usually don't, but this is Pokemon, and it's free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean it's like probably the most popular ARG, so people definitely, someone knows what I'm talking about. Hopefully.
Yeah, probably. If you
I
know,
like
leave in the comments the thingamajig in the down there.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, good times.
You know the one I'm talking about.
But
yeah,
that one person watching.
In that one, I believe the locations are pretty much all player submitted. And I forget how exactly it works. I think you have to submit a location to be approved, but it's like not too difficult.
But once it's submitted, it's a lot easier to go through than looking at an entire city, say like, what's significant here, and they might get it completely wrong compared to places where that might actually be significant to the people who live there.
Yeah, I mean, like the campus for the college that I go to has like 3 different portals scattered around. So
That's another thing I'm curious about. How many gyms are going to be for each like town? Is it just going to be one or multiple maybe? Because a city as large as like New York City, that's just the easiest one to go to because it's like such a huge and popular large city.
Mhm.
Like, would there be like one gym for that or what? It almost couldn't be by population because if it's too large of a population, the smaller towns, you might have to go like 3 towns over.
Yeah, just to play your silly phone game.
Yeah. Mom, get the car.
Uh, it'd be kind of interesting to see how this game will lead to like kind of just random meetups
Yeah,
between
it'll
games.
definitely get people up and about, and that's something that Nintendo has been all about ever since the Wii, really. Which I can't, you know, blame them for that. That's a really unique thing that only they have really successfully done. PlayStation and Xbox haven't really got on that bandwagon. Although they don't have to, they're all successful in their own right. Say Nintendo's losing the console war and they have like tens of millions of dollars of profit and they sold stupid amounts of consoles. Oh, it was a failure, huh? Did you
Yeah.
not see your revenue? Regardless, I guess everything's relative.
Mm. On the other hand, it could just lead to massive groups of like teenagers and youth just like hanging around looking at their phones, not actually interacting with each other at
Yeah.
all. Just like clicking
Every
on
now
their
and then
phones.
looking up to give a death glare at the person across the way.
Two people accidentally make eye contact. They can never go to that same location again.
So many neckbeards in one location.
At least they'll
Uh,
be getting sun, I mean.
I think that's a little bit too much, though, if you give them too much incentive. You damn well know that if there's going to be at least one troll location that if they do get to submit locations for the gyms, you damn well know it's going to be like at the bottom of the Boston Bay.
On an oil rig somewhere, that'll be great. Somewhere, like, in the middle of the lake, you actually have to, like, rent a boat or something. And that would be great. A
That would
water-type
be
Pokemon.
hilarious. Go
Oh,
out
that
on
would be
like the,
awesome.
the fallen down tree that's halfway in the water just to reach the edge of the gym. You're like, I almost got it.
Yeah.
It's like Area 51. Shit. I'm sure the government would be thrilled.
Oh, I can just imagine, just, like, randomly one day, a bunch of young people just start, like, gathering outside, like, high security sites. And just no one has any idea what the heck. Just some nerds playing Pokemon.
Go.
Oh.
That's all I really
Uh,
have for this article. I mean, like we talked a lot about the potential for this, like what they could do right about it in the a couple months back when the first time we talked about this. And now you get to see a little bit more about what they're actually doing, and it seems like they're heading in the right direction. Obviously, the microtransactions, like, they haven't really revealed what those are yet, so that's like the final
yeah.
cringe
Final
moment.
countdown.
So, I mean, do you have anything else to say, John, or?
Nah.
Alright, so let's head on to the second article, which is the digitizing your ex, etc., etc. This one was actually pretty interesting from a psychological standpoint. It's basically about a study. I don't know if it was like an official scientific psychological study or whatnot, but someone studied how gamers, mostly males, but some females are referenced as well, where they'll make avatars in like RPGs and whatnot that allow them to customize a bit more that look like their exes, and that's supposedly a way to like cope with breakups or like long distance relationships, stuff like that helps ease depression. Supposedly, I don't think there are any actual. This is why I'm not sure if it was like actually scientific or not, but I don't believe they have any actual data in terms of like brain scans. That would be interesting to see though, like if it over a long period of time. Obviously you'd have to get people to sign up for it, but I mean, this might actually be relatively interesting for the psychological community. That's not really something I'm like invested in as much as like the biological community, like the unanswered episode that came out like 2 weeks ago by the time this episode comes out. But it was relatively interesting because it was yeah, they talk about one example that they give is that there's this Skyrim mod by a modder named Harris Modifications, where she basically created a character for herself and her ex-husband or ex-boyfriend, something along those lines. And it's more of like a kind of like Sims, I guess is the best way to put it. It's sort of just like live the characters' lives, less like action, like actual Skyrim, and more I don't know, slice of life.
Single player, Second Life.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. And this mod has actually been downloaded over 10,000 times, according to the article, like 10,289. So that's like a significant amount. I don't know, like, I don't mod games. You know, I don't mod Minecraft. I don't mod like Skyrim. Granted, I haven't played either in so long, but so I don't really know how that like scales in terms of like the most popular Skyrim mods. I can imagine there's probably a decent amount more popular mods, but that's a relatively popular one for someone who based characters in this mod off of like themselves and their ex.
Yeah, I mean, even just looking at the number, like 10,000 is that's a lot of downloads.
That's a large number, and supposedly the creator of this mod said that the other person, the ex, was actually okay with their likeness being in the game, which I don't know. It's kind of, I guess it's, I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of like preferable to the alternative.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can imagine since they asked the ex, I'm sure they asked them before actually like setting this mod out to the masses. Like, you know, that's another case of like asking for forgiveness is a little bit harder than permission, because that one has like legal measures behind it.
I can just imagine the conversation though.
I want to put you in a video game.
And then upload you so other random people on the internet can download you.
Yeah. I can imagine like this topic is very, not so much gray area, but it's borderline gray area, and it's very, very close to being like into creeper territory. Like,
yeah,
it's
very.
It's like almost creepy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure the article is discussing the more benign form of it, but it's like it's very close to stalker behavior. I mean, whatever helps you cope in a peaceful and safe fashion, but like kind of weird, you know, that inevitable awkward conversation if like the people get back together and the former ex, now again significant other or whatever, sees that as like, what the hell?
I can just imagine like starting to play a game and looking at some of the more downloaded mods and seeing yourself there. That would be, and like seeing the uploader as who you recognize as being like your ex or something like that.
Son of a bitch.
That would be kind of creepy.
Yeah, be like give you that like cold shiver down your spine, I guess.
Yeah, that might be difficult sleeping at night after that.
Yeah, like close the blinds slowly.
Then it kind of morphs into that like morbid curiosity. Do I download this and see or do I just or do I just like completely ignore this and go about with my life? Forget this happened.
Yeah, and actually on the like very benign side of this, towards the end of the article, they talk about a lady who worked with, was it a game or a mod? I don't remember. Do you remember?
The last one about the seasickness one?
Yeah. Was that a mod or a game? Either way, it was in a game of some form. I don't know if the lady created it or whatnot, but like she didn't actually make a character about her ex. She actually made it about her like current husband, and
Yeah.
that one you could like role play as them, I guess, to some degree. There are characters in there, and mostly having to do with like them being out in a boat because the husband gets seasick very easily. So this was like the wife's way of getting him to go out on a boat. So like I guess they played their characters and they went out on a boat trip.
And apparently, she uses her husband's likeness for promotional photos when advertising her business.
Oh yes.
Yeah, of selling highly detailed yachts. If you don't know, in Second Life, you can actually like make and sell models. I forget if that's like in-game money or like real money or.
I'm sure someone's found a way to make real money off of it.
Yeah.
It seems like if you're capable of making highly detailed yachts, and it says right in the article, highly detailed yachts, then I can imagine that's quite possibly a tool more for like engineers than for just people playing games. Although you look at stuff like Minecraft and Besiege and Kerbal Space Program, and
Yeah.
people have a lot of fun with those. But there are also people who take a lot of calculations and like take these games a lot more seriously than you'd really ever expect. I don't know. That's about all I have for this. I mean, it's certainly interesting from a psychological standpoint. Unfortunately, I don't have that much of a psychology background. I've taken like an animal behavior course, but that's animal behavior, not people. Sure, hell of a lot different. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say? I mean,
I wouldn't mind moving on from this topic before it gets too creepy.
yeah, I was gonna say like the main thing I had about this was like the creepy bit, and the last article, which is the Division's major update. Update 1.2 has been causing certain players to lose access to their characters. Like the character just disappears, which like. Despite this being a console MMO, it's an MMO, and the whole point of MMOs is to like, build up your character or characters. I don't know how many characters they allow into Division. I can't imagine it'd be more than one. I don't see the point. It's really like one class, isn't it?
I think so.
I don't.
I think it's too varied.
Yeah, like I think the difference is just like gear in general. But it's like Division's been out for what, like 3 months now? Yeah, 3 months.
Something like that, yeah.
About 3 months. Imagine, like, you're a top-end player, even just like a middle ground player. Like, not terrible, not amazing, but you've put a lot of time and effort over the last 3 months into your character, and then you log in and it's gone. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like that might be game-breaking.
Yeah.
Depending on how hard it is to, like, progress. I guess. This isn't like something that happened to everyone, but it happened to enough people that Ubisoft reacted very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think they said actual numbers. I know they said this was confined to a PC issue. They said Ubisoft believes it was something with localized servers. So that would make sense that it would be localized to just PC. Because obviously the consoles and whatnot, although I'm sure they have some sort of cross-platforming in there, they're not going to have the same servers for PC and console. Because you need different process. I don't really know how servers work, but I'm assuming you need like different processes to communicate between the machines that are running the game.
And that's like it always sucks to lose progress in any kind of game, really. I mean, especially an MMO out of all games, because I mean that's not like Skyrim where you can just enter in some console commands and get your stuff back.
Yeah.
I mean, at best you can contact the devs and maybe like have them enter in some console commands to get your stuff back.
I know Ubisoft in their statement were saying that they're trying very hard to fix the problem. They obviously have backup files, so they're
Yeah.
working on getting the players back. Unfortunately, they said some of the consequences to that, depending on when their last backup of the server was, that they might lose some experience on the characters, but the
Yeah.
gear is going to be easier to replace. The level of the character might be a bit lower, like not like significantly lower. I don't know what like the level cap is, but they said like you might you might lose some experience.
Mm.
And the Division is like relatively popular, you know, like on Twitch. I don't really go on Twitch that much, but whenever I go on, it's still relatively high up there, and I'd say it's relatively significant still. It's one of the more successful console MMOs. Like that and Destiny are really the only two that remain constant. I mean, granted, it's 3 months old, so I mean, take that with a grain of salt, but it seems to be leveling out at a healthy rate instead of just slowly dying off. So I think there's something to it. I can imagine that the game's probably good enough to inspire loyalty of the player base. You know, but this sort of thing just really shouldn't happen. I mean, yes, accidents happen, and Ubisoft appears to be doing their best possible, but like this is a terrible, terrible thing to happen with an MMO.
I think it's also kind of unfortunate just because, I mean, this is just another thing on the laundry list of things that Ubisoft has to fix with the Division, because it has had apparently some significant problems with hackers and cheating and exploits and stuff like that. And
I believe that was what this patch was supposed to fix, most of that, like the hackers and the cheaters.
Yeah, I remember actually seeing I think it was like a dev live streaming or on a YouTube video, him just playing the game, and he gets killed by a hacker, and there's just this second afterwards of him sitting there. It's just like, oh man, that can't feel good.
Was he like in like dev mode, so he was like invulnerable or whatever?
No, he was
like,
just playing the game.
Still, how could he tell that the guy was hacking?
Because he was on the other side of he was on the far side of an alleyway. He teleports right next to him with a shotgun and kills him in one shot. So
like blatant.
Very, very blatant.
Did the dev have like permission, like I guess game master permissions to like, banned? I
mean, I would hope so.
That would be funny.
I'm not sure exactly how that resolved after that point. That's.
Well, I mean, it's a dev, and he has video evidence, so
yeah,
it couldn't have gotten very far.
Yeah,
there's little to argue with that. That's just funny.
Yeah,
that's just one of those moments of like, what just happened?
Yeah, but that this is just another thing that they have to deal with.
Yeah. I've definitely heard plenty of articles over the past 3 months trickling in here and there of like, Division still has problems with this, Division still has problems with that. But overall, whenever I hear the players talk about it, they seem relatively happy with it. So, I mean, there's got to be something there to it. The hackers can't be ruling it, like, say, ArcAge, for example. Hackers and bots are like completely destroyed that game. Like now, the few people that do play it seriously, they're like uncontested because there's like one guild that has monopoly on every server, and then there's bots and hackers that don't really get in their way because they're not like raiding, they're mining resources and whatnot. But the monopolizing guilds have like farms and whatnot, so they can actually afford to just live with the botters and hackers.
Yeah, play any like Call of Duty game that's older than 2 or 3 years, and yeah, you'll have plenty of experience with hackers.
I don't play Call of Duty. It takes a lot for an FPS to entrance me. Basically being nothing like an FPS.
Yeah.
Basically Tribes, TF2, and Overwatch.
Yeah.
Although Overwatch really, really needs to fix its graphical optimization.
Yeah.
I'm running a 520 NVIDIA. I'm not running a dinosaur. That's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's like it's middle of the road.
Yeah. Overwatch is like it has the style kind of similar to TF2. It has a very highly stylized aesthetic
Oh yeah, it's
direction.
definitely stylized, but I think you should be able to turn like when I turn down all the graphical settings, but I keep like the thing that I have to do to inform you, like to get a decent performance. It doesn't really matter what graphical settings I have on. I set the not render resolution scale to automatic, and it usually stays around somewhere between like 50 to 80. 80 is like the average. Sometimes it'll drop down to like 50, and it's completely playable. Like I can perfectly see the enemies, I can register what's going on, and it's playable. But it's not pretty, it's not recordable, and it's not streamable. I don't give a
Mhm.
shit about graphics, but if I'm going to play a game, I want it to look presentable. Like
Yeah.
look at the Tomb Raider 2013. I have the graphics set down as low as possible, just because I usually do that when I record, just because I want the highest
Frame
performance
rate.
possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, frame rate's the big one.
Yeah.
While and that's another big thing with Overwatch. While I do that, I have all the settings on low anyways, just because I don't really care. But then the render scale, the resolution scale is like the one thing that I would want to stay constant. That's the one thing I would want to set at like 100% and just have it stay at that. But it's not terrible, but other than probably the footage that you're seeing right up there above right now, it's like it could definitely be fixed. I understand that you're trying to sell a very stylized game, but I already bought that stylized game. I want to be able to play it and probably record it and stream it. I'm not going to unless probably later this summer when I'm going to get the budget version of the NVIDIA, like the GeForce 1050, I think it was, right?
Uh, is it?
Or
I
not
think
10,
it's
it
the
was like
950.
950, yeah.
Yeah.
I plan on getting that later this summer, hopefully, because my graphics card, like I said, it's not a dinosaur, but it's starting to show its age a little bit. It's like middle of the road in terms of gaming, probably getting towards the bottom there now. Like 4 or 5 years ago when I got this computer, it was medium high quality, and now it's starting to show its age. But
Yeah.
despite that, I feel like that's I don't know, that's something that I'd like to see fixed, but it's playable. I have a damn
Yeah.
good time playing, and I'm probably gonna play more after recording this. But
Mm. Hey, maybe you can just wait till the GTX like 1070 and 1080 come out, and you can probably buy a 980 Ti for like $5 and a stick of gum.
yeah, I tend to doubt that.
Yeah.
Like the I was I was like, I know we're getting off track, but who the fuck cares? Because there's not much else to talk about the Division part.
Yeah.
the I was looking at either the budget 950, which is like 150, 130. I think like the lowest I found it was like for 110, and then I
Mm.
was also looking at the 720. The 720 being like 75, $80. I think like the higher end one that I was actually looking at was like $90. And I was very tempted, and I was like, you know what? I think the 950 budget is probably worth the extra, 40 or whatever bucks, because that one's gonna last like for fucking ever. Probably gonna transfer that one to like from this computer, 10 years from now, whenever I get a new computer, because I fucking baby this computer.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. That's something that I think Overwatch can definitely improve upon. But other than that, not very much else. Just nerf Bastion. But plenty of people
Yeah.
are already saying that. So not really.
Dude,
It's not.
just switch to Genji. Reflect his crap back at him. Make him meet his own bullets.
I don't want to play Genji. He can't have an entire team of Genjis, although you can have an entire team of Divas. You lose, but it's funny. We did that. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw that post last week, some point, whenever this video comes out, I think. Yeah, in all honesty, I think that's, like even that's a minor thing for like Overwatch to fix, like the graphical setting. Because like I said, it's perfectly playable. You can see exactly what I mean in the thing above, although it might be a little bit difficult because it's going to be scrunched down into the box instead of the whole screen. But it's definitely like fuzzy. It's playable, but it's not presentable. I wouldn't want to make YouTube content out of it besides like this to make a point. Compared to like this with the Division, where yes, it's probably some mistake. I wouldn't be surprised since it's a server error. This is like a massive server error that it was probably something that they could have avoided with proper, I don't know, preparations, proper setup. But Yeah, I don't know. So far, it looks like Ubisoft has been able to get at least some player accounts back. It looks like this is relatively widespread, at least according to the uh, subreddit and this article, which it figures like more than just a select few players are experiencing this, so it's not like a localized problem per se. I think it's localized to one server, like I said before, but I think it's affecting a lot more players than just a few. I don't know. Are you there, John, or did you run off?
No, I'm here. It's just
Okay, I know you turned off your mic because there's stuff happening in the background, but I couldn't tell. I was curious if I had to do the outro by myself. Anyways, do you have anything else to say, or is that?
Hey, girls.
No, that's all I have to contribute to the podcast.
And you quickly turn off your microphone. So, be sure to leave your comments in the comment section below if you have anything you'd like to discuss about any of the topics we discussed during this video. And as I said last podcast, that is the comment question, just like, would you like to discuss anything about any of the topics discussed? So if you like this podcast, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more like it, maybe even subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and this happens monthly nowadays, so if you didn't know that. Be sure to check out my partner in crime, Sir John Mack's channel. He posts something every now and then, and it's usually pretty entertaining, whatever it is. Got anything else you'd like to say, John? I think he said nope. So, links for my social media and whatnot are in the description below. And that's all the time we've got for today. So until next time, don't die.